ended up being passed around to different systems within sex trafficking, from the mafia, organized crime, escorting, massage, things of that nature. And I had a variety of experiences.
They call me a listener, they say that I should start to explore everything. Oh, I may be a listener and maybe I should. There's joy in the message I bring. ShaneTrain, ShaneTrain. I am free and at ease. I record what I please. ShaneTrain, ShaneTrain, ShaneTrain.
We are recording.
Welcome.
I like that.
Train. I don't know if I do.
It was weird. It was really uncomfortable for me.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. Oh shit, that's 1 out of 3.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's one math is hard though, so I don't blame you.
Math. I know it would make it more comfortable.
Agambe.
Hell yeah, man.
You waste no time.
I know my rights. I do. I feel like
No.
a raging alcoholic on this show.
You are.
You are.
I shake when I put the shot to my mouth. Is that a bad sign?
So really, we don't have a guest. This is actually an intervention.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry,
shit.
dude.
Is my wife going to be here? He just spit liquor. Poor
Too
bastard.
real, dude.
Oh, ow.
Sorry, dude.
It tastes like burning.
That was. Oh, this was what we needed a video for this one.
I just want to point out that the pro over here hasn't even.
Oh.
I didn't even take a step back.
I'll go slow, bro.
I'm sorry, ladies and
Will just
gentlemen.
inhaled it. It's currently in his lungs.
Oh, the intervention wasn't funny, but the wife joke was pretty. That was pretty right on.
Oh, that was funny, man. I wish I was a video.
Okay.
Video podcast.
I think Julie's gonna assist us today with your
Yeah.
intervention.
We have.
That's
we have,
cool. I could use
We have Julia back.
Yeah,
could
Julia's
use one.
awesome. She's one of our most popular episodes. Top 2? Top 3?
Yeah, top 2, top 3.
Man, she killed it.
A lot of feedback from this one.
Yeah,
What's
I got.
top one?
We're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's private information.
Yeah.
I actually don't know.
We can do 2.
I could
but
guess,
One
but-
is like.
If you don't know, you don't know.
It's the number 1 episode because everyone leaves after that, so that has the most listens.
Oh, they click on and then exit. That's awesome.
It's over.
Nice, dude.
All right, so I want to catch the listeners up. So if you didn't listen to season 1, you should. And what's your problem? But we had Julia on, and she. There's so many ways to explain her. We titled it like a prostitute, right? Or she was
Confessions of a Prostitute.
Yeah, and that was. I got to be honest. That's kind of the link bait type title.
Yeah.
Because she's an abuse victim, traffic victim, also a prostitute at one time.
Yeah.
Recovered, foundation.
Kidnapping.
So much more to her, and I'm guilty of link bait. So sorry. Or what is that? Clickbait? Is that what's called?
Clickbait.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna correct you, but I just wanted you to finish.
Yeah. So I'm guilty of that.
Link bait.
I like link bait.
Will, I bet you remember in higher detail than me and Mason some of her story.
I literally,
read the
after
book.
we were,
I read the book too.
yeah.
Just
I'm
doesn't
just
stay
saying,
fresh
when I
on my
read
mind.
books, I remember stuff.
No way. Do you want to handle this?
You
part?
don't have to let
No,
them
I'm
make
just
friends.
saying.
Okay.
Do you not remember anything you've ever read in a book?
No, I do. I remember actually. So the guy who took over her life.
Yeah.
I remember that part. He just owned her.
He made her marry him in a black dress, like a dark ceremony, and
That's a good red flag right there.
yeah. So this woman, catch up to speed. So this woman met a guy in an office,
Yeah.
fell in love, turned out to be the opposite of everything you'd ever want in
Like
your
a
life.
psychopath.
Yeah, and kidnapped her.
Yeah.
Basically trafficked her and then dominated, abuse the whole night without going into full detail.
Yeah.
Listen to the first episode. I went home and I was shook. I did not feel the same when I got home. It was real.
Yeah, me too. It kind of was. My problems didn't seem like too big of a deal.
No. So she survived that, separated from her kids, ended up in Vegas, and then was a prostitute in Vegas.
Almost by accident.
Yeah.
In a weird way. Like she showed up and the guy was like, "What's on the menu?" And she thought he was talking about the food menu.
Yeah.
Wasn't she
whole
going in
different
for a
ballgame.
modeling gig?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she was just an easy way to make money and a quick way to
People
survive.
drugged her.
Yeah, she got drugged.
Can people go back and listen to old episodes in podcasts? Or is that something like
Oh,
you
for
can't-
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. Go back and listen if you didn't listen.
It was amazing.
I don't
Yeah.
think we're going to go over the whole story again this round.
No.
I mean, we'll catch
If you
people up
need
to
to-
speed with who Julie is and everything.
Yeah, go listen to her story. It's really cool. My mom came up to me and my sister came up to me. I'm trying to think. Sean came up to me. It was like, this episode affected people.
Yeah.
Sean wouldn't go into work. He sat in his car and finished it
Dude.
outside his shop.
The
Real.
legend.
Yeah,
Sean the legend.
Yeah.
Sean, the person who never stops working.
Yeah.
Stopped
Pretty much.
working.
So she ended up, got out of Vegas and then ended up in Seattle.
Yeah.
Back into, I think she ran her own. She decided to go independent. So she ended up with a pimp, but I think it was a female pimp
And
up
they're
in Seattle,
rougher.
and they were hardcore.
Chicks are rougher pimps.
Yeah, she was
Chimps.
just much more
Gnarly.
abusive, much more controlling. And then I think she broke free, if I'm correct, and then did her own.
Yeah.
And then kind of like a more requested higher John, if you will. And so that's what she called all of her guys. They were Johns. And the way that she explains it is perfect.
Oh, yeah, that's her book title.
Yeah. And then she left it, escaped it, basically, and then started a foundation. And now she is bridging the gap between children and people that have gone through that lifestyle who are reuniting back with their family. And she's trying to incorporate both sides so both sides understand
She's so open.
the severity. She was amazing. Yeah.
In fact, she was like, she would have answered way more. And I had people be like, "Why didn't you ask more? Like, I know you were curious." And remember the intro? We were
Yeah.
That has stuck with you.
it does.
I don't know why.
I just, when I hear the Beavis laugh or Butthead laugh on that first episode, I'm like, it just reminds me of like a 10-year-old with like a semi, like thinking.
because it hit
Yeah.
your 10-year-old spot.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
shy, and I couldn't ask the questions I wanted.
But then when our minds blown, once we got into it, it was like, oh shit, this is for real.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. And all of a
it
sudden,
got real.
all of a sudden, my little 12-year-old curiosity questions didn't seem like maybe they should be asked.
No, it was like instant compassion. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, wow.
If it
I'll
makes
do
you
that
feel
again.
any better, I was
Wow.
really respectful when I ordered my hooker that night.
That was really big of you.
Yeah,
Nice.
I followed all the rules.
Nice job, Mason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did she come with a menu?
She had two menus. One was for food, and then one was for other stuff.
That's
So, I got to be totally honest. That's one of my questions in this episode is I want to know more about the menu out of total curiosity.
yeah, a little bit more about the lifestyle.
So, why is she back? So she's had a big life change.
Yeah, and we'll let her get into that.
Yeah, let's bring her on. That's cool.
So should we?
Let's do that.
Let's call her.
Mason.
What?
Millennial Mason.
Let's call her
Tech
and let's
God.
do it.
You like Tech God better than Millennial Mason?
No,
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't call you as a tech god. I love the ring.
I hate the ring.
Skype's
Do you?
freaking me out lately.
I really dislike that.
It feels real.
It feels old.
It's like we're reaching out.
This feels like a phone you have to turn to.
You're too young to even know what that is.
That's why I don't know what it is.
This
The
is true.
circle thingy.
Yeah. So the goal is she answers.
Yeah.
And
Hello.
Julia.
Hello.
Double
Go
smack.
ahead, Shane.
Yes.
Hey, it's the ShaneTrain and others.
How are? Hi. How is everybody?
Good.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
Will, you got to say hi.
Hi, Julia. I'm so happy that you were wanting to come back on, willing to come back on.
Hi. I'm so happy you guys invited me.
Hey, it's like, not only did I enjoy it a ton, like my top few, it's our top few favorite episodes. So it affected a lot of people. And I just think it's cool that you came back and you're so open because I think it helps. It helps understanding and compassion. So thanks.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I was really thrilled to hear that feedback. Obviously, when you do the kind of work that I do, knowing that you are actually making a difference matters. So.
Yeah, it is making a difference. In fact, this is the episode where the most people came up to me asking me, like, or telling me how it affected them. It was kind of crazy. But we've been chatting before we called you, and we kind of caught our listeners up on the basic story. But we also told everyone, go back to season 1 and listen to her story in detail because it's crazy. It's awesome to hear, and it'll move you. So we've caught the listeners up to who you are, but now we kind of want to talk to you about what you're up to now. So I know you had some big news. If you want to share that with the listeners.
I do have some big news, and I kept this on the down low because in my line of work, everybody's in your business. But I got married.
Congrats.
It's
thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah. Congrats.
Well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge accomplishment, to be honest with you, to be able to make that step, coming from where I come from, or that sort of thing. But yeah, on July 2nd, I married my husband and I married his 4 children.
Awesome.
And so I've got four new children in addition to my first 2 children. So now I have 6.
Wow.
Oh, that's
And-
awesome. Congratulations. You got a
Yeah.
full family now.
That's a big
Big
family.
family.
I definitely have a very full family.
I emailed Julia earlier in the week, just kind of like some question prep, but then I was also like, I don't want to mess up anything with the marriage or the new husband, and I want to be respectful. But I was also telling you, like, I want to ask some of the weird questions that I was curious about and other people are curious about. So I imagine you're still cool with that. You're the most open person I've met.
I am totally cool with all of it, and I have actually run it all by my husband. His name is Chad. I've run it past him, and he's completely transparent as well. I mean, we definitely have our personal privacy boundaries, but when it comes to this, he's very supportive of my life, my work, and the reason that I am open. So he's on board.
That's cool. You guys have a ton of trust, and I was just trying to think how to put it.
I think for me, the reason why we appreciate it so much is because your story was so different than anyone we talked to on our first season. And your story of survival and what you went through, the then to now, you don't hear that very often.
Yeah.
You know, going through what you went through and what you survived, it would truly break most people, most strong people.
For sure.
And so I think for us, where we were so happy was because it was really the goal of what we wanted to accomplish. Your story truly affected people, and we would get emails and people approach us that knew, that had listened, and you had truly made them analyze and view what your past was and what you went through, and then to helping of survivors in a whole new light. I mean, it truly impacted people.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. And you know what? That is, let me just say this. I have been, I mean, to say that you're in the pit of hell is just like, that's Disneyland for me. But when you are just deep in the abyss that will never end, and you are fighting for something that you can't even like picture or generate in your mind of what is it that I'm hanging on for, but you're grasping for something because the alternative is not good.
Yeah.
I have constantly over the years, I have clawed the air on my knees or face down in the floor, yelled out, screamed out, tears on my face, and I said, my life has to be worth something. And so if for no other reason for my person to survive, it has to be to have affected somebody else. My reason for living has to make a difference in other people's life. I cannot just survive so that I can go be married and be happy and go get a job somewhere. That's not enough. I have to make my life matter in a way that it affects other people. Otherwise, I might as well be dead. And that has been like my constant, like, I don't know, mantra. Sounds like a stupid way to put it, but
Not at all.
But that has been my cry. And so to hear you say that, it just fulfills in me the reason that I have fought. And it makes me so happy.
It seems like it gives the suffering purpose.
Totally.
Like, it wasn't useless suffering.
What a good way to put it.
Yeah, it gives a reason for all that shit.
Yeah. And that's got to be hard. I mean, I can't speak for you, obviously, but I couldn't imagine. I mean, when you were in it and you were going through so many of those scenarios, I would have to think that the question ran through your mind of why. Like, why is this happening? Or what do I have to learn? Or why me?
Yeah.
And so
It does. You're always like, why is this happening? And it repeats like so many different things in my story. It's like one thing is really awful and tragic, and that in and of itself is terrible. But then it's like, then comes this, and then this, and then this, and it's like, why? And then I've had, suicide attempts. I've had 3 different hits on my life from organized crime. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, why don't I just die already? Because it'd be easier. And so then when I'm left to live, and I think that's not fair. I don't want to be living. And so I've had to contemplate that question as to why this happened and why am I still alive? And so to try and reconcile that. And so that's why I'm saying my purpose has to be that this has to make a difference in somebody's life. People are always like, oh, well, at least it worked out for the better. I'm like, no, not at least.
Not exactly.
Yeah, no, you have no idea.
There is collateral damage I have to live with for the rest of my life.
Totally.
Just so at least it's better. I don't think so. So that's why I'm like, it's got to be something more than that. So you guys just make me so happy to hear that sort of thing. Oh, and I love that you bring this kind of issue on the radio and on your podcast and stuff.
This is cool.
I just got warm fuzzies. I know that's so cheesy, but I totally just got warm fuzzies.
Let me love fest.
Let
me take us into our next section. So we're with the purpose. We're talking purpose. And I want to just be clear with the listeners that I drafted up a bunch of questions that make me feel stupid for like drafting up, but I'm genuinely curious. And the purpose is we make a good show that people listen to, and then people listen to this episode. More listeners listen all the time, and then they hear Julia and they hear her cause. So the purpose is that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. May I ask something before we dive into there?
Yeah.
Julia, would you mind just if people didn't listen to the first episode, can you just give a quick explanation of who you are?
Yeah.
And kind of what you went through? That's hard to abridge that.
Yeah.
If my husband heard you say that, his eyes would be huge. He's like, "You want to know who she is?"
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
He'd be like, "Well, how much time do you have?"
About an hour and 45 minutes.
That's right. No. Who am I? Well, I am. I'm a mother. I'm 40 years old. I was kidnapped at the age of 22 with my 6-year-old son and my 7-year-old daughter into labor trafficking. I was forced to marry the man who kidnapped me. He was a career felon, a tier 3 registered sex offender. And so he took us, and that experience with my first trafficker was the worst experience in the 11 years total of human trafficking and sexual exploitation that I had in that life.
He was a psychopath.
Very much so. And I won't go into detail. I'll just leave that for a trailer for y'all to go and listen to that first episode. He did.
And read her book.
Yeah, you can read my book, Dear John, The Diary of a Prostitute, which is available on Amazon. And so then after a year, my children were sent back to live with their father, and then I was able to be removed from his grasp, if you will, and I ended up being passed around to different systems within sex trafficking, from the mafia, organized crime, escorting, massage, things of that nature. And I had a variety of experiences. And I finally got out 5.5 years ago, and I've been advocating since then, and I've started a nonprofit. I train nationwide to government agencies and systems and service providers and things like that. I am a survivor leader, and I do peer mentoring. And today, actually, I just came back from the United States Advisory Council for human trafficking.
Wow.
For the president of
Oh
the
my
United
God.
States.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
So yeah, and then I have a total of 6 kids now. My 2 that I just mentioned, and then my other 4 boys that I've adopted. And since I got married, and I'm an extremely passionate person, and I love to. I see things very differently. I feel a lot of feelings very big. So
that was a perfect kind of recap.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for you.
yeah.
You were talking earlier, and you said that he was a tier 3. Do you know what the tiers are, or like what? How does How do you qualify for tier 3?
Um, the the tiers are like and forgive me, I don't actually know the legal definition for each one of them, but
Yeah.
tier 3 is the highest risk for repeat.
Oh.
And it's the most dangerous. He was classified as a tier 3 registered sex offender because he had repeatedly made offense against a minor.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay. So it's just like the
Mhm.
worst of the worst.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's tier 1 where something accidentally happened here and it was most likely not going to happen again. And then tier 2 was an intentional something or other, and then there's tier 3, which means that it's not going to stop. So
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah, I just I was curious. You said tier 3 and I just wasn't sure like what
yeah,
qualifies.
Tier
yeah.
3, you know that app?
Those are your habitual offenders.
Okay.
You guys familiar with that neighborhood app, like Home or House or Neighborhood? My wife's always on it. But tier 3s are the ones where they share them among the neighborhood. Like neighbors pass around tier 3 people, and they're like,
Yeah, they
look
let
out.
you know that this guy is in your neighborhood now.
Oh wow.
There's one in my neighborhood, a guy, and he likes little boys, and multiple people in the neighborhood had seen him standing outside of little boys' windows, out of sight of their house with their
Whoa.
little boys' room. And
Wow.
so I think it's Neighborhood or some app, but those are the ones that get shared as the tier 3s. They're
Neighborhood
dangerous.
Watch, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it might be.
And so
Yeah.
they're required then. This is something they have to do. They have to notify the neighborhood they're in.
You can look it
The
up.
law enforcement usually will either leave a flyer or something like that, or put a postcard. It depends on where you live. It's different state to state to state, but there's some sort of notification that lets you know. And then there's apps that do it as well, so you can actually have the app notify you. That's voluntary, but when there's a tier 3 registered sex offender within a certain amount of radius, they will let you know.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, shall we dive into some questions?
Yeah.
I think the one that fits right off the bat is, so, I mean, recently married, I am totally curious, how does your past affect your marriage, which is a super broad question, but like day to day, does it affect your marriage? Does the past come back each day, or does it come back now and then, or how does that feel?
So, this is going to be a really interesting answer for you guys. My husband he's always known about my work because he met me through Facebook, because we had a friend in common. So he's always known about my work and my advocacy. So that's been like upfront all the way. And he's actually on my board of directors. And so he knows how passionate I am about things. It can affect my marriage every now and then because he's still learning my triggers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I seem like a pretty cleaned up person. You wouldn't really guess that I've got any kind of street in me. But I remember, about 2 months ago or so, he was moving past me in the family room, and I was pretty close to the wall, and then there was a piece of furniture in front of me, and he was passing me on the side, and he stopped, and he turned to look at me. And not in a bad way. He was just turning to look at me. He was about to say something. But the posture that he took, because he's a big guy and football type player build, and 6'2", and I'm a very, very petite. I'm 112 pounds and I'm 5'7". And I'm strong, so don't think anything. But the stance he just happened to take as he turned around presented itself to me as someone would when they were basically confronting you like on the street, as you would. And not like a huge confrontation. It's something subtle that you only know if you're on the street. And what I mean on the street, not like living on the street, but if you're working the street.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he took that stance, and I immediately got defensive, and my face changed. And I took a very big, like you puff up. I puffed up, and he started to say something to me, and I'm like, back off. And he's like, whoa. And he was just like, what? And so he kind of moved towards me more like you would, to be like, kind of warm.
Yeah.
And I got real close, and I'm like, back off. And so he starts moving back, and then I could start breathing again, but my adrenaline was pumping, and I felt like I couldn't breathe, and whatever. And so he didn't know what was happening. He went into the bedroom, and I needed a few minutes to like clear my head. And so then I followed him into the bedroom, but my adrenaline was still very, very flowing. And I was like, okay, you can't do that. You can't confront me. And he goes, I did not. And I'm like, I recognize that, but this is what happened. And I showed him, I said, now you be me. And I showed him what happened, and he didn't get it the first couple of times. But once I helped, like I was able to articulate, then he realized what was going on. But see, those kinds of things like happen so fast.
Yeah.
And he's a soldier. He fought in Iraq. And so if I'm able to equate like my stuff to stuff that might happen from him in his point of view, then he's able to understand. It's just not the same kind of thing. And so he doesn't know what to look for. So on those levels, my past can interfere a little bit, but for the most part, it really usually doesn't. Until it was about 4 weeks after we got married. And here's the curveball I'm going to throw at you guys.
Okay.
4 weeks after we got married, and I was out with my husband on a date, and I accidentally found out that my husband has an 11-year porn addiction.
Oh. So where did that take you?
Not to a good place.
Yeah.
Because when you have a porn addiction that's 11 years long,
Right.
it's not just your casual porn
It's
here and porn there.
It's chronic, kind of.
So it goes a little deeper. And so what happened with that was, first I felt like I was lied to and betrayed since I met him. So that was a big issue, because when you have come this far and you go to take that step to trust someone with the rest of your life,
Yeah.
and then to feel just on the surface level, that level of betrayal, you don't really know what to do at that point. And for me, that was a lot of self-doubt, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I still had my kids here or if I even had a home here. I didn't know. Everything just went a mess. Then there's the level of betrayal that every single woman that he's looked at for the last 11 years is me.
Oh, okay. Okay, I could see how your head goes there. I kind of want to ask a side question inside of that, because that really intrigued me. Obviously, with everything that you've been through, what does a porn addiction equate to you then? Because to some people that just might be harmless, right? I mean, that's something that they're viewing and then doing to themselves, whatever they're doing with porn. But where does that? I mean, the way that you're presenting it, it sounds like a slippery slope. If
Well,
that
no,
makes sense.
yeah, but see, here's the thing. Every person because I've worked the porn industry and the prostitution industry are exactly the same. They're just spelled differently.
Wow.
Everyone who is working in porn are required to prostitute. The more dollars you make, then the better film that you're in. Meaning,
Wow.
the more dollars that you bring in pimping out, you don't keep that money. That money goes to your pimp, your agent. Really, they're called your agent there. They're not
Okay.
called your pimp. So your agent pimps you out. The more dollars you bring in for your agent, the better he'll book you for your show.
Wow.
Now, you don't get to keep as much of your money that you're making in your contract with porn, but you do get to keep some.
Now, can I
didn't know
I
that.
want to dive a little deeper in that then, because the last time we talked, you were making a lot of money for your pimps. and that you were still struggling to have groceries, or they would give you like a lot amounts for groceries. Like you were never seeing the money that you brought in. Is the porn industry the same way? I mean,
Yeah,
are these people are
it is.
suffering?
It is.
Wow.
Which is why when you're working, and I'm being very broad here because
Yeah.
it really depends on which scene you're in. Just like with when you're working with prostitution, it depends. Or if you're working the track, if you're working escort, if you're working massage, all of those components, each system is a little bit different. Same with porn. So it's not one thing, one rule across the board, but basically it's this. It just varies just slightly a bit. But yeah, when you're working in the porn industry, the more money that you're able to make for your agent pimping out, then the better contract you're able to get, which means the more money you're able to keep from that contract, so you'll be able to live a little bit better.
Now, when you say, sorry, Julie, go ahead. I say when you say better contract, I'm trying to understand what that means. I mean, so if I equated that to like a movie star, and that's a horrible comparison. Like better contract means bigger budget film, more things. So is that what you're meaning?
Yeah. Huh. Yes. Like, yeah, for a movie, like a film.
Yeah.
Right. So you got your porn star. So they got a contract, or you've got your shoots, your photo shoots. So that's a contract. Okay. Or whether it's, your online porn. So your webcam stuff, they can work under contract, or they can work under so many gigs. But it's the same idea.
I did not know that.
No, I had no idea.
So, to draw the line, porn is prostitution. It's the same exact thing. So, when you're talking about porn being harmless, it's not harmless. It's not harmless for the person watching. It causes a lot of damage for that individual because there's a whole lot of distortion going on. It's as addictive as heroin, and it's just as hard to get off of as heroin. But that's separate. Every person that they're looking at is in shackles behind a screen. Each person, each girl, whoever you're watching, they are no different than a trafficked person, because they're back there behind the screen trying to figure out how to get home. Somebody's mother, somebody's father's looking for them. They are being drugged, or they're on drugs because they're trying to get through it. Whatever the situation is, they're stuck there, trapped there behind the screen in just as much pain as I was trying to get out. And so you are watching someone while you're looking there innocently in your bedroom in the dark while they're in pain making that film or that show or that picture or whatever. And so it's not harmless. And so when he has this 11-year long addiction, he resurrected my 11-year past. Mm-hmm. And he's sitting here supporting my survivorhood while he just tarnished it.
Not to discredit or not to go against what you're saying, but I actually stumbled upon porn at a really young age, and I did not realize it, but it became a coping mechanism for me. Mm-hmm. So when my life was at its worst in LA, I was using porn to cope, and it was a drug. And the question I would have for you is, if you found out your husband was hooked on pain pills, how much different would it feel if it was a different addiction?
Well, you're absolutely right. Just what you said about it being a coping mechanism, and you use it as a drug.
Yeah.
And my husband, it did. And it worked for my husband too.
Short term.
But that doesn't erase the fact that it still is violating me and my personhood and my soul. Totally. The thing is, though, what you just said is so key. It was a drug, and it's an addiction, and it is no different than any other addiction. And that is why it's so important to recognize that. And that is why my husband and I are just as tight as we were, and working together and moving through this problem together. And because I have survived what I've survived, and because I understand both my issue and the user's issue, we're able to work through this together, and he is able to comfort me in my pain, and I'm able to support him in his recovery.
That's awesome, and I feel like that would build a lot of trust as you guys work through this. It's weird for me because as a user of porn, like I used to use porn, it was just like weird to hear it from the other angle because it is totally damaging, violating. It's your past. It's got people in shackles, and it just opens up this whole dark feeling of like, wow, more than I was a junkie, I was hurting people. So it's like weird.
Never
Right.
looked at it that way.
Yeah.
I've never
So,
ever
I-
looked at it
It
that way.
hurts, man.
I guess what I wanted to do, and the reason I agreed to even like address this, is because I wanted to take the opportunity, because it is exactly just the same as using pills to cope. Only you're swallowing humans. You're
Wow.
swallowing humans. And so while it is working for you, and since you are addicted, you being the whoever the you may be, while
Yeah.
you are addicted, and so it's an addiction, and you're trying to cope, and you're trying to just get by, and that makes total sense. In this case, though, when you're swallowing a pill, the pill doesn't hurt. When you're swallowing a human, now two people are hurting: the user and the pill, essentially.
What a
And so
visual.
I wanted to state this in this way, because I wanted to provide some kind of encouragement to anyone who may be listening, that if this is an issue in your life, there is compassion from both sides, that there's help and there is love, because there's so much shame around this, and I just wanted to speak from this side of things, because there's so much judgment passed. And when with my husband, I'm still broken, don't get me wrong, but the very fact that we can be each other's support, and he wants to now actually team up with me and be a husband-wife team on both these issues, because it's so powerful to break the chain. So that's why I decided to go ahead and speak on this today.
I thank you for showing me the other side. I've never even heard it.
Yeah,
So
I truly appreciate that.
Yeah, me too.
What I did want to say, almost I wouldn't say in his defense, because it's not like we're attacking him, but what courage for him then to admit that. I mean, that had to take a lot of strength for him to tell you, knowing your past, that he was addicted, that he was on a porn drug.
He didn't.
Oh, then how
It
did you
was an
find out?
accident.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
We I don't know if I want to tell you.
Okay,
You don't
that's
have
what-
to.
No,
Yeah,
you don't
you're
have
good.
to.
No, you're good.
I'll tell you. I mean, I don't know if your users are gonna want me to say users, your listeners.
Yeah.
We
All our
have,
listeners are scumbags,
We
so
use
don't worry
them.
about it.
We don't even
yeah,
like them.
no. I was saying that jokingly. We have software filtering for our children, because we have 4 boys here.
Oh, okay.
And he forgot.
Oh.
Oh.
And so while we were sitting at a restaurant, he went to the bathroom, and I just happened to check my email. But he was a little bit surprised when he got back at the information that I now was holding in my hand. So
Whoops.
Oof.
yeah, I had a lot of information that just happened to call. It was a report, and I was like, I was shocked.
Wow.
So yeah, it was not good at that moment.
Well,
So-
thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Yeah.
This,
But he felt so relieved that it came out, and it took a couple of days for him to process, and it took a couple of days for me to process. But he has really owned up to it, and he has been proactive in how he's going to, get help. He's got himself a therapist. He got us a marriage counselor. He found a great program for recovery for himself that also
Wow.
includes the spouse to come along so we can journey together. And that's important that he's taken that lead. And so I'm just really proud of him, and I love him more than anything.
Wow,
That's
that was
awesome.
It shows how much he cares too. It's not just lip service to set all that up and go do it.
Exactly. No, he's genuine.
So this leads me into the kind of the second question off the first one, which was a while ago. But how does your past affect your marriage sexually?
Well,
I'm
it
asking.
was,
So I'm asking these
it was-
questions because I think the curiosity kills, and so you don't have to answer.
oh, I know.
Okay.
I do know that, but no, they're good questions, and I think that they're legitimate and honest, and I think people would like to know this stuff. To be honest, um, when I first met him, I had a really difficult time maintaining my presence when we were being intimate because
Okay.
if I was feeling uncomfortable, it was so easy for me to shift into that place where I just operated mechanically and just did whatever. Because when you're a working girl, you just kind of shift in your head to that place where you're not really present, and then you just are a pleaser. You do what they want because you know what they want, and you just make it happen.
Yeah.
And so it was really hard for me to stay in a present place, and instead of shifting to just doing what he wanted. And so as we moved on in our relationship, I kind of took a bit of a break for like a month and a half or two, and I really wanted to commit to just staying present. And if I couldn't stay present, I wasn't going to do it because I really wanted to be authentic.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was hard for me, not just making that shift, because I've been operating that way for over a decade. And now that you know what was going on in his world, he was having a hard time being authentic with me as well.
Yeah.
And so there was these two different dynamics that were happening, and so it was a little bit difficult. So my life, if I wasn't feeling a positive connection that was really genuine between the two of us, I kind of abort.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of mixed feelings. When we were together, I was feeling really good about it. But if things weren't feeling quite right, I felt really disconnected and it hurt. And I couldn't figure that out. And my answer to that was, you know what, we're going to be married for the rest of our life, so we have the rest of our life to figure it out. And I wasn't in a hurry.
Oh, it's fantastic to
Good
hear.
attitude.
But then I found out all of this, and I didn't know what to do with that. And as we processed everything, we finally came to this point where we decided we're gonna build our marriage on these things, and we started from that point. Amazingly, after that happened, there were no more gray areas, and our life intimately is exactly where it should be for two people.
That's good, because you deserve. I mean, frankly, you deserve the intimacy and you deserve the trust,
Yeah.
and that's what we hope that you're receiving now.
Well, I've never known what this was. I didn't have anything to compare it to, and so I didn't
Okay.
exactly know what I was looking for, but I do now.
Good.
And it's
Good.
great. I think it's great.
Oh, Julie, you're so awesome. That's so good to hear. That's so good to
You can
hear.
hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
But I think, is it so ironic that it took, something of this kind of catastrophic thing in a marriage, and at the beginning of a marriage, no less, to bring two people to this place. And I think it's beautiful in a way.
You guys, I feel like your spiritual journey, so hippie, is perfect. You guys are going to heal through each other because you guys need each other to see it just right. You need that just right mirror to go on to the next step.
I feel so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and at least you found out in the beginning. I mean, at least this wasn't something that you were years and years and years down the road and that behavior kept going on. I mean, at least
you took the words out of my mouth. I said the same thing.
Oh, awesome.
Nailed it.
That is awesome.
Well, let's go deeper.
Wow, can we go deeper?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So
we can hear you smile.
I
It's
know.
like the best part.
And I'm shy right now,
Yeah.
but I was like, Shane, ask the questions or don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question has this is you personally, how has your past, your history affected what you enjoy and don't enjoy in sex and lovemaking? Has any of that evolved or changed through what you've been through?
Yes.
And I would love to hear more.
Yes.
Nice, dude.
It has.
I'm so smooth.
There are things that I have not been able to do, and there are things that I did not enjoy. Period. And it was it. It was like a black and white thing, and I was like, don't.
Yeah.
And it was really cut and dry. And am I supposed to say this? I don't even know what I'm allowed to say.
You can
You're
say
allowed to say
whatever you
anything.
want.
It's
Julia, whatever you think
Okay.
is what we want to hear.
We say terrible things when we're together, so just don't even worry about
Okay.
it.
That's
Okay.
a little premise. This is really, you are exactly why we wanted to do this to begin with. Shane had an idea of being real. And so when we started the podcast, it was like, look, we're going to touch on things that are either going to alienate us or unite a bunch of people. And so we've covered the full spectrum. And that's probably why you were such a popular guest. Because you were so raw and so real. And that's what our listeners want to hear.
Okay. Well, perfect. Then I am your perfect guest.
You are.
Well, I couldn't tolerate it because of what happened in the life. Because for some weird reason, everybody likes to hang out right between your legs. They like to go down on you right between your legs, and they like to do it for at least 1 or 2 hours straight.
Wow, I remember you saying that.
That is just not something that I want some icky stranger to do
Yeah.
and do it like 3 strangers in a row. That's just not fun. And so that just became a thing that as soon as somebody starts to head down that direction, I'm like, no. And it's just not something that I just want to even deal with. And so I was just like, just leave it alone. And so for me, I just wanted, let's go straight to sex. Let's not do anything else. Let's not mess around.
Skip the
No
foreplay.
cuddling.
Don't veer over here. Don't navigate anywhere else. Let's just, let's go straight to the point. And because that I enjoy. And so that's good. But I didn't like it. I have been able though to overcome that hurdle. And
Good.
that I shocked me actually. So I was like, okay, I'll hang out here for another 5 seconds, and you'll have 5 seconds at a time.
Small increments.
Until it goes bad, then we'll stop. And then it's been a while now, and it's just fine.
I'm trying to figure out what that means about society. Like why?
Sorry?
I'm trying to figure out what that means about society. Why men are dying to pay and do that?
Because they're flexing their muscles.
You think? I wonder what it is.
Like, look
It's
what I can
so
do
weird.
for you.
I
Like a
don't get
power
it.
thing.
That was one thing I could not figure out. I'm like, you're paying me. You'd think you'd have me doing something else for 1 or 2 hours, but usually it's not that way. And I'm like, really? Why?
So interesting.
Yeah, it's like a different way to be dominant, to be honest. To me, it almost sounds controlling. Like I'm paying, regardless of the pay, I'm doing this to you and you're going to enjoy it. Like it just sounds like another control thing.
It's pretty creepy.
In a non-intimate situation. I mean, you and your husband, that's a different story. But like a John to pay you for that sounds like, no, you're going to sit here and I'm going to do to you what I want.
I always think like I would assume that guys that go to prostitutes would like, I want to do what my wife won't do, or I want to do what my girlfriend won't do. But and maybe that has something to do with it. But that's a weird one. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I immediately go to like guys thinking they can get pleasure out of anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can do this for you. I got this.
Uh-huh.
So I just immediately am like, okay, well, he's just trying to flex his muscles.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, we got to.
Well, the
this.
one thing that I did figure,
Go ahead.
and it was a common theme when I was in the life, is I noticed that the guys that came to see me, they needed to feel that they could please her, whoever her would be.
Exactly.
And so, if whatever it is, they need to feel like I just want you to be, I get off on making sure that you're getting pleasure. And I'm like, well, that's not ever going to happen. But, that they needed to feel like they could do that. And so that was really the game I played. No matter what we were doing, was what they needed to feel that I was getting pleasure. And so that's what they were paying me for, was for me to fake the pleasure. And so that's the conclusion I came to. But I find it interesting because my very last client that I ever had was a superintendent from Michigan who flew into Seattle, and I was over at SeaTac Airport at the Marriott, and I did not want to go. I'd been trying to figure out a way to get out of the life for a long time, and so what was he doing? He was downstairs eating me out, and I was crying, and I was out loud saying, I have got to have more value than this.
Wow.
And he didn't hear me, or he ignored me, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
But that moment of me crying out loud, and I don't cry, and saying it out loud instead of just thinking things in my head. And we don't think those thoughts in the life. You don't think thoughts of having value.
Yeah.
So all that was very unusual for me. And the very next day I walked away.
Well, you mentioned you don't cry. Now I can understand why during those 11 years. How about now? Like, have the emotions come back now? Are you a bit more sensitive? I mean, we're not talking putting on the Lion King, holding Simba up, crying. Like, are you feeling those emotions now? The connectedness now?
I'm beginning to, yeah. When I found out a couple of weeks ago about this situation with my husband, yes, I've cried a bit, and it's come and gone. I cry like my 19-year-old son here, he's going off to college, and my 17-year-old, it's in senior year, and he's going to be moving out of the house to live independently for this year as a trial run. And I'm having a hard time with that. I don't cry, like I'll just get some tears.
Okay.
Just kind of, but it's hard. It's very hard to like cry.
Well, you're very desensitized. I mean, and you've got
you have to be.
I mean, everything you're describing, and especially with your husband, and you brought up earlier with Iraq and everything, there's a lot of PTSD that you're still going through, and for years down the road, you're going to be going through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you you got to tap into some feelings that you don't want to feel if you start crying. So that's why tears are hard to come by.
Oh, okay.
Jeez. I don't know if I can pull off this transition.
So I was going to say one more thing in answer to that question, because you asked me about things I can and can't do.
Yeah.
The other one is got to do some with the life, but also because I was sexually abused by my uncle when I was 3 years old.
Oh my
and
God.
It continued on.
Whoa.
This affects my marriage, because what does every guy love?
Want me to guess?
Yeah, there's
blowjobs.
He loves a blowjob.
Yeah.
And I have not been able to give my husband a blowjob ever. And because my uncle forced his dick down my throat when I was 3 years old, and then it was ongoing for a period of time. And then, of course, when I'm in the life for 11 years, I've given more blowjobs than I can even count. And that's it, just re-traumatization. And so, like I had said about being authentic with my husband, I told him, I hadn't told him about my uncle, but I told him, I was like, I just want you to know, I am working on this. It's going to take some time. I want to do this, and I'm working on this. Just give me some time. And I hadn't been able to. And then so as he's working through a workbook regarding his recovery, one of the things he had to do is write down all the reasons why he would excuse himself for using porn, and and then read it. And then he had to read it to me. And one of the reasons was, why can't I get a fucking blowjob? And I heard that, and that crushed me. So then I yelled at him, and I told him, it was later after I was out of shock.
Yeah.
I yelled at him what had happened with my uncle. And then I went away, and I couldn't talk to him for the rest of the day. And he just felt horrible. And so after that, though, now that this is all out in the air, we came together, and he apologized, etc.
Yeah.
And now that it's out in the open, though, and we've come together, and I've been able to process in my mind and then out loud with him, I am now finally able to start overcoming that. Baby steps.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
5 seconds at a time.
I'm able to visit the location.
Yeah.
Shall we say?
That is the most eloquent way I've heard a blowjob being stated.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and visit the location.
But it's exciting, because my heart has been just dying to just do this, because I want to do this for him so badly.
Yeah.
And it hurt me, and it's just such a great way that two people can kind of overcome this thing together. And so while it has been just such a horrible thing in my past, being able to finally overcome it in a great way, Again, it's, it's a work in progress, but it's progress.
Well, oh my God, I mean, I find this amazing. And first, God, we thanked you hundreds of times for your honesty and just being candid. I mean, it makes me excited because I can literally hear the smile in your voice when you bring that up. And these are things that, frankly, I don't want to say normal conversation, but this is just not brought up. I mean, there's a lot of people that probably should and think about and talk about this. And so it's impressive that he had a problem with something that he wanted and you trace it back. And obviously you had an experience that's not pleasurable. I mean, that's a horrible thing that you went through. But I love the fact that you're excited to conquest that. And you're like, no, this is my husband and this is something he wants. I'm going to work on getting over this. Like, it really sounds like you two are just meeting yourselves in the middle. It's just awesome. It's so refreshing to hear.
Thank you. I think it's refreshing.
Yeah, you should. And I love that you're laughing. I mean, this is just awesome.
I have like a.
You guys are speechless.
I do. I have a bunch of questions, but I'm like, this is plenty.
Well, I'm just waiting for Shane to go.
Just imagine me like 12 years old sitting here. Like,
that's fantastic.
Do I keep going? Like, do we keep going?
Well, so Julia, I mean, obviously, like, there's some you knew, and we wanted.
This is enough.
We wanted to meet in the middle, and obviously this is coming out of completely respect from where you're coming from and where you are now. Some of the things that we heard from some of our listeners, and they wanted us to go deeper because your story was so intriguing, and they wanted to know. I mean, you're a true survivor. Hands down, there's no other word that I can use. You are a true survivor, and now you're an advocate for people that went through that, and you're building this foundation and all the things that you're doing. Some of the questions that we received were a lot about the lifestyle that you were in. So a lot of kind of what we wanted to talk about, and it's I don't know any other way to put it, but like what was on the menu? Like how did you, like with regulars and these kind of things? So,
yeah, these are good questions. Golly gee.
That's what I was going to say.
Golly gee.
I surprise people with the words I say sometimes.
This is
My kids are like, who said that?
No. But that's what we want, and this is why we adore you.
Gee willikers.
Yeah.
I know. So let's see what was on the menu. Everything was on the menu. If you could think it up, it could be there. It depends on how much money you have, really.
So it was like the experience of you go in, you have a wad of cash, and you're like, okay, what will this get me?
That's
I'll
best
tell
way
you
to put
this:
it.
the menu depends on who you're talking to. So you can have me, and then you could have Brenda standing next to me, and each one of us is going to have a different menu.
Okay.
Because she might she might not be willing to do some of the things that I am, or vice versa. And so that'll all be different. The rules are going to be different between the two of us as well.
How much does the pricing vary? Total curious question.
And I don't mean to be vague. I am more than happy to go into this as well. But the pricing is also going to vary on a few things. Who it is that's running you, whether it's a pimp or an agency or, both. Maybe the pimp lets you price yourself. Maybe they don't. Maybe you're working independently, so you're not working for anybody. And if that's the case, then your pricing is going to depend on each person. So you could see person A and you can see person B, and pricing may be different between the two.
Okay.
But there is generally a standard so let's say I'm looking at the Seattle market and I am working for myself, and then there's another girl, she's working for herself. Both of us are going to be watching all of the boards, back page, and everywhere else that any listings are happening, and we're going to make sure that we're competitive within that market.
There's research. I mean, there's marketing that goes into it, for lack of better terms.
Yeah, it's a business. I mean, people think that we don't have skills when we walk away from here. We are some of the best damn business people that you will ever know, and people are shocked when they actually start have a conversation with survivors and things like that, because we know stuff.
Wow.
And they're like, where'd you learn that? well, I know I just laid on my back and spread my legs, but I actually have a brain.
Yeah,
Because I had to do something in order to make that money, and I had to figure out how to spend it too. So thanks.
Now, when we bring up menu, now is there going to be a difference? Does that depend on the Johns? So say like you've got two Johns, they both have a certain, equal amounts of cash. Are you able to dictate between the two? Like you feel more comfortable to do something with John A than you would be with John B?
Yeah. So let me help break it down. So like you come in and you want just your basic, pop. So it's like, you want to, oh God, I'm in an apartment complex. I hope nobody's listening.
You're with us right now. You're with
Someone's
us.
going to get an education today. I know.
Yeah.
So you want to come once, it's going to be flat this X amount of dollars. If you want to come a second time, it's going to cost more. If you want me to, blow you off, that's going to cost something. If you want me to swallow, or if you want to come on my face, it's going to be this. If you want me to perform certain services on you that are a little unusual, then that's going to cost some money. If you want to spend some time like showering with me, or GFE, which is a girlfriend experience, that's going to cost money. If you want an extra hour, and those sorts of things, that's going to cost money. So that's like a very basic menu.
Okay.
So you got your blow job, you've got your hand job and all those things, and then full service, that's that. So that's kind of a range. And then there's places you can go with that.
And then the reality of it all is you have this in your mind. I mean, you already know. So every step that happens, you already know what's good. I mean, so you already know, in essence, what you're going to charge. And it just all depends on where the John takes you.
I always ask up front, what they're looking for.
Okay.
And if you know the person and you've been with them before, you kind of already know where it's going. I had a client, I could call him Mr. Ed.
Okay.
And, he always wanted full service. I did not want to do full service at that point anymore because I was trying to get out of the life, and my body, like my spirit and my body, couldn't take it anymore.
Wow.
So, he wanted 4 hours, and he wanted me to bathe him. And then he wanted to give me a body massage for an hour. Then he wanted a body massage for an hour, and he wanted conversation and stuff. And then he wanted me to jerk him off at the end. And so for that, I charged $15 or $2,000, and then traveling. So,
with traveling expenses.
Well, he was an hour and a half away.
Okay.
So I forget what I charged for traveling or something, but I charged an extensive amount.
Now, when you say, for the layman, I mean, I have no idea what that means. What do you mean full service?
Well, where you actually are having sex and everything.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because you bring up bathing and things like that. I mean, that just seems, I couldn't imagine the variety of what you were asked to do and the different kind of personalities you went with. But this is where some of the fascination comes from, because we all have our own opinions of what a prostitute is and what you would expect and what we think. And, I mean, millions of people head to Vegas and things like that every year. And so they have these preconceived notions. And then
totally.
And then we hear from you, and it's a whole different. I mean, we just joked about marketing, you know what I mean? And that's, I don't want to make light of it, but you're really right on. I mean, you're extremely business savvy. You know what you're going to get, and you like. I mean, my question goes like, is there an upsell? Do you push for more if you're in? I mean, does your pimp stress you to want more?
Yeah, totally. Sometimes, and sometimes you don't want to. Because you just want it over.
Yeah.
But with the, what I was going to say something. What was I going to say? Oh, so I'll give you an example. Like for me, now every girl's different, right? But for me, like, and that the guy, Mr. Ed, where he wanted to body massage me, and then I body massage him. Okay, so I didn't want people rubbing me down, front and back.
I couldn't imagine how awkward that would be.
I think
for you.
I don't want that.
Fine.
Yeah, it's just. It's like, please don't touch me. I don't want that. Just go away. But I'll be happy to massage them forever, because that way I can keep you away from me. That for me, that was a boundary.
Okay.
And so when people are insisting on rubbing me down, that I charge more for. Now other girls might feel differently. So every girl's different. But for me, I would almost double how much I would for what I would charge for me to rub him. Then I almost would double it to reverse that.
Whoa.
And have him rub me as a deterrent.
Yeah.
To keep him away. Now, I got a couple of ways I wanted to say a few things. As far as upselling and stuff, if you're trying to make some money, there's a way to do that where you start off saying your baseline is a hand job or a blow job, and then anything more than that is going to be up in increments of 50s or something like that.
Okay.
And you know full well what they want. And so in order to, and you just kind of, you don't even start telling them it's going to be this at the beginning. You just start with this. And then as they want more, you go, okay, well, that's going to be an extra. Well, that's going to be, but they're already excited. So you upsell as you go. When you're talking about comparing two guys and go, is it going to be the same menu for each guy? Not necessarily, because if I've got this guy who looks like he's a very fit football superstar, and then I've got this guy who doesn't look like he's showered for 4 days and eats at McDonald's 3 times a day. I've got very different menus for these two guys.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
This guy over here, I want him to keep his hands off me, and I want him out of here in 5 minutes. And this guy, I want to milk him for as much as I can.
Is it because you know he can afford it, or you're more comfortable?
Either way, I'm trying to make money, right?
True.
Okay, but I am willing to spend my body over here.
Okay.
I feel safer spending my body here. I do not feel safer spending my body over here.
Now, I have to ask in the middle of this, you're talking about going up in increments as far as what if you go a little further, what it's going to charge. How often do you have a John that just takes it further? That there's no...
Violates?
Yeah, that's a violation.
Pushes the boundaries?
Yeah.
All the time.
Wow.
Now, how did you...
Almost every job.
Wow.
Oh, God, I couldn't imagine. I mean, your strength alone, that's impressive. How did you thwart that? I mean, that's where the question is. How did you stop that?
This is where you have to be very good at your job. You have to learn the skills where you're not a bitch. You have to learn how to be the most sweet, seductive woman who can manipulate any situation. That's how you do it, because you can't, it's either that or it gets physical, which it does. But, in a situation like that where they're constantly pushing boundaries, you have to be able to manipulate so well that you can convince them that what you're saying is what they want.
Oh, okay.
You have to be able to read a situation that's happening before it happens. And this is why sexually exploited people are the best lie detectors that we need, better than those that are trained to stop lying. We are brought into this sort of because we are so good, because our lives depend on it.
Julia, really quick, we just broke up with a little transmission here. If you could, would you mind just repeating what you just said?
Yeah, how far back?
Just a moment when you were talking about
20 seconds.
Yeah, about 20 seconds.
Oh, okay. I was saying that commercially sexually exploited people are the best lie detectors. We're better than those who are professionally trained to detect lies in people, because our lives depend on detecting these things. We have to know what is happening in our situations before it happens.
Oh my God!
Wow,
you're so true.
You'd have to be.
I wouldn't think of it that way, but you're right on.
What about special arrangements? Are there ever dudes who are just like, hey, I need you available whenever I want, so here's like some extra money, or here's like a retainer or membership? I don't know how that works, but is there special arrangements that you set up?
I have had that. I have.
What does it look like?
Well, this reminded me to come back to the whole Vegas thing. You said Vegas, and I wanted to address some stuff, but I don't want to divert from this question.
Hold on one quick sec before you answer. Skype is being weird.
That's the beauty of calling in.
Okay. I think
All right, we should be good.
We should be good. Definitely not good.
Now, Julie, you still there with us?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So Vegas was the topic. If you start cutting out, I'll just let you know.
Okay.
But go ahead.
No, I'm going to answer your membership question, but will you come back to the Vegas thing?
Yeah, for sure. I won't forget.
Okay. So it's not a membership. I didn't call it that anyway. But I've been retained. Is the way I would have looked at it, so to speak. Or yeah, I refer to it as being retained. Sometimes people would just want me to be available, like for a 4-day like golf weekend.
Wow.
Other times I had one individual who had me on retainer for a year and a half.
Wow.
And it wasn't a sugar daddy situation. I was still on and off working with the agency, but I was technically his.
Well, how does that work then? I mean, if it's, how would he keep you? And for lack of better terms, I don't know how to ask that.
I will tell you this situation. I got to be just a little careful, but I'll tell you this one.
And we appreciate this.
In a nutshell, he got me my condo, and he took care of my bills. He gave me basically an allowance every month. He understood that I worked. He requested that I perhaps consider not working. He understood that.
Losing you.
Oh, I don't know why. I'm not doing anything.
No, we aren't either. It's Skype. I Skype enough in business that, trust me, this is Skype. Okay.
Yeah.
But we didn't lose you that far ago, just like 10 seconds.
Okay. So he gave me, my monthly allowance or whatnot, and he just requested that perhaps I consider not working, but he knew every time that I did work, and the agency sent me on tour every, now and then and stuff. And the bottom line of this story was that he was actually, the agency is run by the organized crime ring, and he was affiliated with it. So I technically wasn't violating anything because he was just retaining me within the ring.
Okay. So he had an in, and he picked you, and you were his, for lack of better terms.
So awkward.
I was a bitch within the ring. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, did dudes ever just want to show you off? Just, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Can I show you off?
They do that all the time. I had this one guy who, was going through a divorce. He insisted that he was in love with me, and he really wanted me to go out on dates and stuff, but you just don't do that. Some girls I
was going to say not for any price, or some girls date for a price. Skype.
Oh, I think we lost you, Julia.
Yep, we did.
A little editing on our side.
Yeah, we'll edit this.
Mason.
Oh. Sorry, Mace.
It says reconnecting. So
all right, so we'll wait a minute.
Maybe I should try LTE.
We'll cut this out.
I think it's our Wi-Fi.
Really? So LTE might do it.
I'm wondering if we can move the router down here.
Yeah.
So the next time we record, it's just the signal's that much better.
I think the router's full strength.
Okay.
I have full bar on the.
Oh, we'll edit that, but.
Hello?
Oh, there we are.
Hey, we lost you on where did we lose her? Guys,
about dating.
A guy wanted to date, yeah.
Where lose me?
The guy who wanted to date you, and then do you date for a price? Man, Skype is awful.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't hear the do I date for a price.
That might have been in my head. I'm not sure.
Well, he was just
the
saying,
beauty of
like,
technology.
do guys ever like to
for
take
a
you
while.
out and show you
no,
off?
I think I've been talking. I can't hear you.
Skype's awful.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Julia. I hope you can. Are we clear
That's
now?
okay.
You can hear us now?
You think so? I just think I've been talking to myself. I didn't hear you ask that question.
I'm so sorry. I
Um,
think we dropped.
the Yeah, no, that's okay.
Okay.
The guy who had wanted to date me, I just for any price because that's really, really, really risky.
Yeah. Well,
Other girls, I know they do, but everyone that I know who did ended up in a really bad situation.
Wow.
well, what do you mean by that really bad situation? Because when we say dating, it sounds innocent.
I would guess the dudes got weird and started
Yeah.
stalking.
The dude, yeah, the guys got weird, or the girls got in trouble with their pimp or whoever was running them. Yeah, or the guys ended up trying to pimp them out. Something bad. It was unsafe.
Wow.
So you were more comfortable
Um,
with someone who wanted sex as opposed to a date.
Cuddling.
Oh, yeah.
Cuddling dates, all that crap.
Going to the movies.
yeah,
bad.
when they want intimacy, that means that they're really looking for something, and I don't have that to give. And I'm not interested in it. So when someone's really, really needing something that badly, they will take it.
Wow. Well, you mentioned a little teaser for the first time you were on. You hated the girlfriend experience.
Yeah.
I did. I do.
I promised you.
You know, if I want to give you a piece of me, my heart, my soul, whatever, I'll give it to you by my own free will. Don't be taking it from me.
Yeah, it's your choice.
I promised you I wouldn't let you forget Vegas.
Yes. Yeah. So, there was a lot of different kinds of things that happened in Vegas, and it kind of goes back. It kind of is a little piggyback off of this question, but also back to your other question about menus and things. I mean, you see it some here, but it's more relatable with Vegas. When people are calling and asking for different things or what's on the menu, or when you're advertising, as far as girls, sometimes we advertise 2 girls for the price of 1. Which is weird when you're talking about human beings, but nonetheless.
BOGO.
We'll do, football Sunday specials. And we'll do other specials for like the holidays and things like that. So, I mean, like there's actually like advertising.
Well, wait a minute.
Promotions and things like that.
I don't want to interrupt, but you run. Okay, that just blew my mind a little bit. Like football specials. So you plan around occasions?
Yeah.
Guys, this just amazes me. And
Yeah.
I guess I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the marketing aspect, but for lack of it
So
is.
if I normally charge, like, let's just say I normally charge a flat $200 an hour, let's just say for a base rate.
Okay.
But if you book me, during this particular game, right, the Seahawks,
yeah.
Then I'll run a $99 special. Now I am making sure that all my girls are full, and I will make sure I'm making bank during that 4-hour time slot.
Whoa.
Okay.
Target market is Seahawks fans. Just saying.
Right? Or, however you want to market it. Maybe I market just the Super Bowl or the football Sunday, or, same with like Christmas or other things that run normally slow. If you market it in such a way that you can ensure to target those that are lonely because you're discounting or things like that.
So interesting.
You're really playing on, in essence, you're playing on the desperation of those Johns, because they're
you're
going to get
desperate anyway. They just don't want to pay the extra money because it's a holiday and everybody's broke. So if you appeal to the fact that we're here for you, we care for you, then they'll spend $79, and we'll upsell them when we get there.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay.
I know
Strange
I sound
that you
like
say
really cold
upsell
right now.
when
No.
This is just interesting.
Yeah, you were so far from being cold. I mean, this is, and again, I just want to state, we're so thankful that you're willing to be open about this. And I know at times, like, we're laughing and we're being lighthearted, and that just, it makes it so much easier to talk about such a dark area that needs to be brought to light. And it really covers a lot of really what we want to go into next. And first, thanks for being so candid about like a menu and kind of what you went through. A big question for us, and this is
I gotta pause you for a second because
Okay.
I need to say this since we're doing this. there's, the bachelor parties and the stripping and stuff like that. Strippers, they're not just into strip club. And this happens, in other cities too. It's not just Vegas, but I want to make sure I use Vegas as the example so that people understand what I'm talking about, because this happens in every single city, whether it's Seattle or, Orlando or Dallas or wherever. People ask for this. And so you can ask for 2 or 3 or 4 girls to come and do a bachelor party in your home.
Yeah.
And so that's also an option on the menu, and how we book for that by the hour per girl. And then how we do the, certain percentage of tips required. So it can be split between how many people. And then we go, okay, this is what we can offer as an add-on. This is what we can offer, whether it's a girl on girl, whether it's this, whether, if sex is an option or if it's not. And so those are all additional things that are also included that are totally a part of this whole thing. So it's not just one girl seeing one guy. These are all additional things that are considered.
Well, I'm so happy you brought that up, because that too is intriguing. I mean, the 3 of us here, we've all been to bachelor parties, and I've had some that have been very oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And in comparison to that, some that have been very tame. Do you go into, say I'm a best man and I'm trying to set this up and I have 4 girls coming. Is that something that is talked about before, or the girls know going into the situation, going into the situation that this could happen? I mean, is that in the back of their minds that this is a possibility?
That depends on who's setting it up.
Okay. So all based on a pimp.
It's based on, the pimp, the agency, or whatever. No, when I was running my own stuff, then I always knew who I was going in with. I only went with a select few people.
Okay.
And so, all of us girls, we all knew what we would and would not do and these sorts of things. And so we knew what we were providing as options.
Yeah.
And it was always discussed with the person who was organizing up front. It was discussed again when we got there so that it was all clear. And
okay.
The whole payment and everything was taken care of up front, so we didn't wait till after they're drinking.
Yeah.
And then, that was all handled. And so that way nothing was misinterpreted or anything like that. And then we were free to do what we needed to do. We didn't feel like any stress about it. And then we went on with the show. And we also organized our stuff so that most of our stuff was all, we rather do girl on girl stuff.
Yeah.
That way we didn't have to interact with anybody.
Well, yeah. So at that moment, I wonder why.
That was kind of more our preference, because we felt like we were more in control of what was happening rather than having 20 guys touching us. That's how we preferred it. And so that's how we would structure it.
Well, then I wonder, then I have a question there. I mean, is that harder to do? I mean, you just brought up 20 guys. Is that harder to do than being with one gentleman? I mean, I picture observers. Oh, Julia, I'm sorry. We lost you one more time.
Hello?
Yeah, Julia, there with me? The beauty of Skype, and I'm so sorry. I'll re-ask that question.
Okay.
Is that more uncomfortable? So, we're talking about going into a bachelor party and you've got 20 guys in there. Is that harder to do than a one-on-one in Vegas? I know it's a hard question, and I can understand it.
No. You just got paused again. So is that harder to do than what?
No, I'm just wondering. So you walk into a room and there's 20 guys there in a bachelor party, or you walk into a room and there's one individual. I mean, what's the difference of pressure there? Is that harder to do because you're viewed at? I picture a group of guys, and I have to admit I've been in that scenario, just staring at you like candy. As opposed to one guy who's like, I know what's on the menu, this is what I want, and this is what you're going to get.
Honestly, if I'm doing that bachelor party by myself, which I should not be because that's not the rule. Dangerous. But if I'm doing it by myself, then I would definitely prefer the one-on-one. But since I'm doing the bachelor party with another human, another girl, then I would much rather be in that room full of 20 guys with another girl, because now my attention can be with her.
Security.
And so I don't have to really deal with all of you guys. You can watch whatever you want to watch and think what you want to think, because I'm not dealing with you really. I'm more focused on her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're performing a show together. We have a routine to do. And it's our job to create a whole lot of excitement and teasing in front of you people. I don't actually have to interact really with you people.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
take that wrong, but that's
No, that's honest.
that's what's happening in my mind. And so I would do that. I would do that 10 times a day. I would do that anytime, rather than have to sit there and be in an intimate situation, which requires my actual heart and energy.
A one-on-one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's
Yeah.
fascinating. I mean, you've answered so much of what our listeners wanted to hear.
And me.
Yeah, and Shane, and he was biting the chips here because the first time we talked, there was such a respect and for lack of better terms, there was such a reverence. Like,
let's say shy for me too.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we read your book and it was just like, oh my God, this woman is a fighter. Like what she went through, that's unbelievable. And then we heard your voice and we found out where you are now, and it was just like. And we brought it, we made light to it earlier. Like we all went home, and a lot of our problems felt very first world. Like what am I bitching about? Like, are you kidding me? I'm out of milk. Like I'm pissed because I'm out of milk. What the hell am I talking about right now? So it
happens.
Yeah.
Perspective happens.
True, and so we could thank you for that. How we really wanted to close this up. What can we do to help you? Help the foundation, help what you're doing.
Help the cause, the movement.
Wow, that's a great question. I am just a couple of weeks away from getting to where you can actually click the donate button. So I'm not quite there yet.
You'll be fine. This won't air for a while.
Yeah,
so,
you've got a while.
If you have a way to point the listeners, let's do it.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. So yeah, you can donate to survivoroperativeSolutions.org. There will be a donate button. And so what I do is I do all different kinds of 8-week long training groups for survivors, for parents of youth survivors of trauma. A lot of it is trafficking or sexual exploitation, but some of it is other traumas as well. And the type of healing work that we do is not a direct hit. Most of us, when we're dealing with trauma in our life, we deal with it kicking and screaming. We don't want to go into therapy and start talking about our trauma. Yeah. And I have been doing a lot of research and a lot of discovery, and I have been accredited with this interesting way of addressing trauma, and we go in basically through the back door. So instead of dealing with the trauma head on, we deal with it by not. We do these activities, if you will, that basically open up the wound without the mind and body being aware that we've opened up the wound.
Oh,
and then all of a sudden, yeah, it's really cool. And then all of a sudden, the person is like, oh my goodness, the wound is opened up and it's safe to look at. And then they're able to deal.
Oh my God, good for you.
It's really exciting. I love watching the growth, because once you're able to walk through your pain and embrace it and be comfortable wearing it, because so many people are like, okay, I dealt with it, and they want to run away from it again.
Yeah.
We can't do that, because wherever you go, there you are. So you've got to be able to just wear it. And so that's a couple of the different pilots that we do. And then continuing to work and train government agencies. One of my biggest projects right now for the next 2 years is going to be working with government and law enforcement to understand survivor leaders and embracing survivor leadership as a part of their team rather than setting them aside, because survivor leader input is crucial and critical as they move forward in creating protocol. And so I am currently working with the state of Texas to create and implement their program.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm beyond impressed right now.
So let me hit the domain again. Say it again. Survivor
Operations
Operative.
operative.
SurvivorOperativeSolutions.org.
Yes.
Let's try and raise some money. Let's try and raise $10,000. So if every one of our listeners donated $5,000, we would make it.
Yeah, so
We
we've got
got it.
two.
My mom and Mason's mom.
Yeah. We've got two listeners.
I would love that. That would be so great. That would be really awesome.
I'm not sure what day
Thank
this will
you
come
so
out,
much.
but let's see if it has some impact. That'd be great.
Yeah, and we'll be we'll put this up on our website. And your story, we've been flirting with a little bit about trying to maybe do some blog stuff with the ShaneTrain.
Yeah,
I think
let's push this one.
we would love to, if we were to write a blog and start something a little bit more research and find a bigger avenue if we can help. I mean, we just would like to stay in contact with you and carry this story.
I'd love that.
Let's spend some
I'd
money
love
too.
that.
Let's push this. This will be cool. I'm excited.
And then maybe when we head up to Seattle, we'll all go out and get a good dinner.
That'd
Yes,
be cool.
I would love that too.
Well, in person would be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a round 3 with Julia up in Seattle.
Well, live, that'd be cool.
Be dope.
Yeah.
That would be very cool. I am also putting together a project that deals directly with working with John rehabilitation. So I can't really say too much about it at this point, but I am really excited about what that is going to look like here.
Cool.
Wow.
Let us know on that too, because if this airs a little later, we'll put that domain up as well. Hey,
It's not my domain. It's somebody else. I'm partnering with someone.
Okay. But we'd be able to, if you were willing down the road, we'd love to share that message too.
maybe season 3.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Sure.
Let's hit that on season 3. That'd be cool.
Show.
Thank you for coming
Perfect.
on. This has been awesome as usual, and I couldn't say it enough, but thank you for just being so open, and thank you for entertaining my 12-year-old curiosity.
You're such a
My
goober.
pleasure. I think you guys are so great. And I just have to say, I really am truly, deeply just so thankful that you are willing to put this material out there and make it available for people to just be curious and be informed and let them just follow, their curiosity. I think that's so wonderful.
Yeah, let's
sure.
normalize it and create awareness, which helps improve it. That's what I think.
Yeah, and really, I mean, thank you, but the pleasure is all ours.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're a survivor story. And this really captures a lot of what we've tried to do here on the ShaneTrain of just overcoming. Like, that was us then, this is us now. And so you are creating a bridge mentally, and you're helping people analyze, I can get through whatever scenario I'm going through. And we're not talking extremes. I mean, what you went through was very extreme. But your message and what you're trying to do now and what you're doing now for other people,
It's inspirational.
yeah, you're creating a bridge to be a survivor.
Yeah. Thanks, Julia. Seriously, and we're going to let you know the feedback and the response we get, because I think you would appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to know. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's get caught up on season 3 with whatever you're up to and more 12-year-old stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Perfect.
All right.
Hey, there's so much more you don't even know.
Oh,
Perfect.
I love it. She just gave us a teaser.
I
That's
know.
that's our job.
Season 3.
Yep, you just took our job away from us.
Thanks, Julia.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Have
right.
a good weekend.
We will we'll be
Okay,
in
you
touch.
too.
We'll be in touch very
Okay.
soon.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye.
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 She's so cool.
I'm so blown away. She humbles me.
Halfway through the episode, I was like, this is enough.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. This is deep enough.
Well, see, but I love that though, because the feedback that we got after the first one was like, why didn't you guys go deeper?
It was deep enough.
And then we went deep, but I love how candid she is. I mean, there was no embarrassing moments. It was just like, look, I mean, you want to know, this is where it's at. And that's what people need to realize.
That's
like,
awesome.
pull the wool away from your eyes, people. This shit happens. Like, we love your white picket fence. We love your 4 rooms and your 2 kids and everything's fucking gloryful. This shit happens. Pay attention. This is real life. People survive. People survive, and she's
Why
a
are you
survivor.
looking at me?
I'm just looking at Mason like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I just had a bunch of inappropriate,
No way. Inappropriate.
Can I
Is
Name one of them.
unclassy a word?
Name one of them.
No.
One.
Nah, I'm kidding.
Please.
I'm straight, dude.
She would say 4 girls coming. I was like, whoa.
No, I
just
wanted
like
that too.
I was like,
Can we?
I didn't fully understand what she.
Can we Gambé for Julia really quick?
I shouldn't. I have to drive.
Well, I'm going.
You
to.
should.
Yeah.
I'll Gambé an empty glass with you.
You go for
No,
it.
let me have a taste.
Yeah, no, hold
It's
on.
all about the taste.
It's all about the taste.
You gonna swish it around?
So we
Whoa,
hope.
that no. I'm like, I just need a taste.
That's a mouthful.
Well, no, I can't.
What?
I just need a
Split it
taste.
with me.
I
Split it
can't.
with me.
Oh,
Okay.
Split
I
it.
just don't want any
Jerks.
Dewey's. And Utah's
No,
Dewey
yeah,
is
who-
going down.
Is that
Who
good?
wants to do it?
Yeah. I just need a taste.
So let's Gambé really quick, and then I want to
Just get me
recap that,
through.
and then we'll end.
I'm shaking.
We'll
Give
end
me
this
that fucking
episode.
juice.
Do this.
I can.
Mason just fired himself.
That was
Yeah.
truly a taste. Mason,
What?
one sentence about whatever the fuck you want.
About anything?
Yeah, whenever I see your brain thinking, I'm like, I want to know what you're thinking.
Why?
When we
Good.
see your brain thinking,
Yeah,
what a good way
Which
to
is
put
so
it.
rare.
It scares me when you can
Yeah.
physically see my brain. Am I like?
It's like once a month we catch it.
Yeah.
No, I just
It comes out of
know.
hibernation.
Yeah, we have high hopes.
It's like when you have a computer and you take it out of sleep mode and you wake it up.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe that's like every 6 months. Like I have
Yeah.
to take that back. Not every month. I was being nice.
No, I was just listening. I had a few immature comments, but I didn't think it was.
You won't share one of them.
Nah.
Okay. Next
Maybe
season.
next season.
All right.
Not a one?
Yeah.
I could have gone different places, but I was totally satisfied. Like I will listen to this and be like, Shane, you did enough. You went deep enough. Like,
I feel like she answered a lot of questions without even
she went.
having us ask.
Yeah, she didn't need to be prompted.
Like she
went
knew
down.
what. So I think
Oh
it
my
was
God.
smooth as fuck.
I'm gonna love this episode to re-listen.
Are you
Seriously.
sure?
Yeah.
Best guest?
Pretty fucking close.
Yeah, like,
Best
and no
guest.
offense to everybody we've had on, but
pretty
but
fucking close.
Best guest?
It's like saying
We just
best
need her and
fruit
Brad
and being
in
like, but I like grapes and I like
Yeah,
apples and I like
shit.
oranges.
I think, yeah, we just need her.
I think yeah.
We just
Okay.
need her and Brad in a room.
Give us. Oh, that'd be awesome. Okay,
Conspiracy.
Mason. Shane asked, give us one sentence.
Fuck. One sentence?
Yeah, come on.
On just the feeling of the podcast
Just
or the feeling
anything.
of this episode?
Yeah, I just wanted you to talk.
We don't want to know your feelings, man. Just talk about this
don't
episode.
care. About your
I
feelings.
didn't really. Okay, so have you guys seen the documentary on Netflix called Hot Girls Wanted?
No.
No, but I've
You
heard
should
about
watch it. She was talking about that porn stuff, and the documentary is basically
Hot Girls Want It.
same thing. Yeah, it's basically sharing her same message, but it's gross. I mean, it's stuff that you would never think about if you just went to whatever website, and
I will watch that, like maybe tonight.
it's gnarly.
Dude, I watched fucking Icarus.
What'd you think?
Yeah,
Pretty
blowing
gnarly,
my
huh?
mind. That poor motherfucker.
I know he's weird too.
No, he's nice.
I know, but he's weird. Have you seen it?
He's weird in a
No.
great way.
You should watch
He's
it. It's a
lovable.
documentary.
No idea.
It's
It
a
was
documentary
Icarus?
on Icarus. It's on Netflix.
Like the
It's
guy flew too close to the sun.
They don't
yeah,
really
it's
know
about
that much.
doping.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But dude, like you think it's one thing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my fucking
First
god.
like third of the documentary is.
You want to? Oh, I can't. I don't want to spoiler alert for Will.
Yeah, don't.
Okay.
I'll watch
Anyway.
it. I'm totally bacheloring tonight, so that
Yeah.
sounds good.
Fucking
to,
watch it. And Breaking Bad, dude.
I know. You guys have been telling me
Bro.
this.
I found another Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Ozark.
Yeah, but it's like if Breaking Bad was a 10, Ozark's an 8. But it's still
Yeah.
pushing those buttons.
So
You know what's cool is
I
it's cool
have
see
to
the
start
guy-
Breaking Bad, is what you're saying.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Breaking Bad.
Nothing will
It
ever be Breaking
defined a
Bad.
time in my life.
Me
That's,
too.
That's how much that show affected
Me
me.
too.
For real?
It was deep,
Yeah.
dude. I had nightmares. I would watch like 6 in a row.
One sentence.
On this show?
Yeah, you're skipping it.
No, I was talking about the porn stuff. So I was just prefacing with, if you've seen that documentary, you know
Girls
that
Wanted?
yeah, the porn industry is exactly like she was saying, and it kind of goes with the industry she worked in. It's all gross.
Yeah.
People are disgusting,
Okay.
and people are nasty.
Dude, our animal
Don't
habits are disgusting.
Yeah. And I don't think, and it's even like with her husband. Her husband was struggling with it, and she loves
Dude.
him, and he's a good guy, but he still has this problem. So it's more common than I think we think.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
under the fucking facade.
That fried my brain. I've dealt with porn.
Speaking of common, I mean, okay, so we live in a state, and we talk about Salt Lake City all the time. Let's just bring up Utah. We have horrible fucking air here.
Yeah.
There are so many days throughout the year that they're like, don't go outside and breathe. Probably just shouldn't go outside. Call into work today, don't go and breathe. Instead of that, our actual governor said, porn is what we're going to launch at. Porn is our epidemic. And really, we live in, like, if you were Catholic, and you lived in Rome, you were there.
Yeah.
Here, if you were a Mormon and you live in Salt Lake, like you were there.
Mecca.
And we have a massive percentage of people who have a problem with porn. Like this is a
Interesting.
big deal here.
It's got to be the restriction. It's got to be the religious restriction.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like a little kid, right? You tell them not to do something, and they're like, "Oh fuck, I gotta try it." Then why can't I do it?
Don't we lead in like a lot of substances?
A lot. And
Yeah.
like we're like pill poppers.
Meth.
I feel like if you put yourself into like this human-made paradigm called like strict religion or anything, like all of a sudden your animal instincts start bursting.
So what does that tell
and
you
start
then?
just being normal.
And I love this because for me it intrigues. So, okay, so I'm a transplant here, right? I moved here.
Yeah.
For me, what it makes me think then. So if we were more open about it, instead of telling people like you have a fucking problem,
You're a sinner.
and you're a sinner, and you're going to go to hell about
going
it.
to hell.
What if we were like, okay, we identify the mass thinks that this is a problem. Here are some steps of how we want to help you with the problem, as opposed to like, you're going to fucking hell.
Yeah.
Dude, judgment
How's
is
that sound? You're going to hell.
Judgment is the worst part of the problem. If people would just say, "Hey, everyone, porn is awesome. It'll work like really short term. Like you're going to feel great. You're going to feel like secure and loving and an orgasm and all this stuff. It works, but it's short term. You're going to actually end up not going where you want to go." They could say that about drugs. Drugs are fucking awesome. Like
Very
they make
short.
you feel great.
Look at Coke. So porn's like Coke.
Escape all the problems you have right now.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know if you're trying to sell me on Coke or.
Mason,
Yeah,
what I'm
no.
saying though is, they need to acknowledge why people do it because it's fucking great
Yeah, yeah.
short
Okay.
term.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if people understood that, if people felt like you hear me, and then I want to help you get better, like, hey, short term that stuff works, but let's look long term. Like we don't want you to mess up your life. Let's go long.
So is that the problem there? That people.
It's a piece of the problem. But I feel that way. They never acknowledge why drugs, porn.
Well, hear what I'm saying.
All these things they work short term.
So,
Like
but
the
but
second.
That's so. There's a common denominator here. It's short term.
Fucking so
And
short.
we are okay. So 85 years is the new average, right? So
Yeah.
in essence, in our mindset, we're long-term beings. We are doing things that take care of a short term.
So short.
And that's where the problem is. So we can lump all this into Coke. That's short term. I mean that shit's not
it's like
cheap.
20 minutes.
So
Really?
So that
No, I mean a little longer.
a
than
little
that.
longer,
20
but
minutes?
An hour.
but you're bumping and you're done, and
Yeah,
you're bumping
and you
and
need
you're
more.
done, and
Oh,
you're bumping.
really?
Look at me, I'm clapping my hands over here like a rhythm. But it's so short term.
An
and
escort.
Yeah.
An hour.
It's short term.
I mean, what are you going to really stretch that out to? And then you're damaging like years.
So how do
you're
you
damaging your
And
relationship.
I love what Julie is doing. I mean, the fact that she's saying like, I am trying to create a program to blend people, to help them realize that there's a better solution.
Awareness.
Awareness. I didn't hear once where she's like, "Oh, you're a fucked up person."
No.
Not once. She's like, "No, I get it.
Very non-judgmental.
I get it." And she's had her own experiences, and she's had to deal with her own. But I love that she's willing to acknowledge that it's a short-term fix. All of those, and she lived the lifestyle of a short-term. Forgot little teaser. Go back and listen. But she was drugged. She was in Vegas, and she went through a scenario where she was drugged.
My inner hippies. Go ahead, mate. But my inner hippie says that her and her husband are perfect for each other.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
It's good to have a team.
Can you imagine looking at the other side of your biggest stuff?
Yeah.
I got to be honest. Like, if we head to Seattle, I want to bring him on.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to interview the two of them. Like, okay, how do you feel about this?
Crazy.
Because I would like if I found out, or like I got into a relationship with someone who had her background, I would like. No, I couldn't put myself in those shoes. I don't even know how I take from that. I'm intrigued how he views. So this is someone you committed to for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel, knowing
Yeah.
she has this background? Where does that put you in your life? Like, that fascinates me. It's like the whole other side of it.
I want to hear
ShaneTrain.
from Mason.
How do you guys feel about strip clubs? Because that's that. You guys just let out so many wasted dollars in that breath.
It's the worst mixed feelings.
Well, hold on.
yeah.
It's momentary.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's so bad.
Is it like porn? Or is it like Coke? 20 minutes and you're done.
No.
It's 5 minutes, right? It's a
in
song.
Wendover
I
it is.
myself have never been
Well,
to a strip
do you
club.
want to be a little candid about what we experienced a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Should we be honest?
A couple
I mean,
weeks. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Okay, it's a couple. What? 2
Couple
months
months,
ago.
yeah.
Don't include me in your guys'
No,
skeevy
you didn't
adventures
show
either.
up. You didn't even show up.
Don't lump me in with these.
Okay, so
No, I won't.
he's got a great question. Julie was super honest. Let's be honest right here.
Yeah, we stopped by a strip club, and it was in Nevada.
Whoa,
and
whoa. I got to correct you. You didn't stop by a strip
we
club.
did. We were in
We did.
Wendover, Nevada.
But you didn't just,
we
we're on
did.
our way home. Oh, let's just hit a strip club on the way home.
By the time I got there, Shane was drunk enough where he just stopped by.
Yeah,
I
stopped
drove.
by.
I drove.
It's just part of the experience.
That
Yeah.
was tactical wording, and you know it.
Fair.
Sure. I
Fair.
was thinking about it for like a month earlier, and I knew the exact GPS coordinates.
Yeah.
And we arrived at the exact time.
Sorry. Go ahead.
But honestly, it's the same feeling of like porn and anything. It's just like this cheap thrill short, and then there's nothing real long or anything that's going to help your life after that moment. And so it is. But I acknowledge cheap thrills feel great.
We went into that scenario feeling dominant. We were ready to ball.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, we rolled into that place ready to ball, and we did ball.
Yeah.
Like if we sat down and look at what we were willing to give for
He says ball. I think we cashed like $100.
No, we might have spent a bit more.
Okay.
There might have been
A lot of ones.
I'm just
Yeah.
realizing that I've never done coke, I've never been to a strip club, and I've never hired a hooker. So
Season
I
3.
literally have never lived.
Let's do all those for season
Yeah,
3.
we
I want to do all of them.
we would like so we're gonna do a poll. What should Mason do next? That's our new thing. What does Mason do next?
What would Mason do next?
What
First
should
it's
Mason?
whiskey, next it's
Vape.
coke and hookers. Dude.
Mason turned into an alcoholic when he was in England.
No.
And he blamed it
No,
on
no,
us.
I turned into an alcoholic here.
ShaneTrain.
Yeah.
5-Shot Friday.
This is your
kicked it
fault.
off.
Mason, you're making me shake.
Yeah.
Someone have a drink.
I hear her when she says. I hear her when she's talking about quick fix. I mean, it's all a quick fix because I couldn't bring any of those. So there were some of those good feeling moments, but those were artificial. We couldn't bring it home. I had to go home and I had to go back to reality.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Go ahead.
Shane, give me a sentence.
No. It was just hard to hear. Like, I always thought porn was my own problem, but then her to say like, there's this complex double. The second person you're damaging was hard for me to hear because dude, porn works, and I discovered it really young, and I coped with it, dude. Like a lot.
Really?
Yeah, it works, and it would get me through the days in LA. And it's just like any other drug, and I don't want it in my life, and it's cool, and I don't even feel weird about like I gotta have it, and I'm not going to porn anonymous. That's cheap.
Yeah.
I want some real stuff.
Yeah.
But like it was hard for me to hear
Fair.
that I was damaging other people. I was like, fuck. I mean,
Watch the documentary, dude.
Okay, Hot Girls Wanted.
Yeah.
We'll watch. Is there anything else you guys have thoughts? Last parting
You'll know.
ideas.
You'll know who this is. You remember Karen from The Office?
Yeah.
She made it.
Shut up.
Yeah, she wrote it and directed it.
Really?
Whoa,
Yeah.
she's deep like that.
Wow. Okay.
She's like women's rights and all that stuff.
Wow.
Wow.
It's exactly like Julia said. It was spot on.
I'll give you my sentence.
Yep.
I'll give you
Yeah.
I'll give you mine. Julia never ceases to impress me.
She went farther than I knew. Or
I was so we got done reading her book, and Mason, I remember having a comment. I don't think Shane had gotten here yet, and we were talking, and you looked at me. You read it first, and then I was like, okay, how is it? I'm going to read this because I want some prep, and you
Yeah.
went, just be ready. Like there was nothing else you could really tell me was just be ready. I went home the first time we recorded, and I poured a whiskey. I walked inside, poured a whiskey, and I just stared out the window. Because for this brief moment, all of my problems felt very first world. Like I pictured her surviving. I pictured her getting married and getting kidnapped and all of these things, Vegas and Seattle and doing all these things. Hearing her now, I am so inspired the fact that like there were some things that were talked about inside of this that we laughed at that are it's real shit. It's real. It hits the heartstrings. If there was a survivor that went through what Julia did, this is going to bring up some things that they probably did not want to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I hope from what we just talked about, that it hits deep. That people realize the next time that they flip on some porn or what have you, the next time that they do drugs or the next time they put themselves in a quick fix scenario, that's exactly what it is. It's a quick fix scenario.
Yeah.
And from episode 1, from Shane, everything that we talked about on episode 1, this is exactly the way that I view what we've been trying to do. This is who we are then, and this is who we are now. In essence, Julia, she makes me feel like a survivor.
Yeah.
Because I can put finally behind me what I went through.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it was kind of cheesy, but before we recorded, Shane, I made the comment to you, and I really feel it. It really hit me today after everything I've gone through this week, and I had some real life things that hit me. I have 100% success rate of everything I've gone through because I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm still talking, and I'm still growing. That's how Julia makes me feel.
Can I change my sentence before you go?
Yeah.
No.
What's your last
I don't want to
No.
make it. I don't want to end it and make it about porn.
Yeah, okay.
My ending sentence is just that I'm glad that she has a team around her to make decisions and go through stuff, and I'm glad because you could hear the happiness in her voice.
Yeah.
So
I can hear that.
Wow.
I don't want to make it about porn.
Yeah.
No, but I'm glad you brought that up, though.
Yeah.
I think my final thought would be just like, I like shining light on the dark places, and I like acknowledging that we're human, and I like acknowledging that drugs and all those fixes work, but let's go a little longer term because life is better when you look longer term.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you could go get a credit card and finance the coolest shit ever, and then you're going to pay. Like, you're going to seriously pay, and you're going to have debt collectors, and you're going to have to pay the bill. Or you could just try and spend what you got and try and make it a little longer term and see where you go, and it's more real, and it's yours, and just kind of those similar feelings. Longer term pays off bigger. That's my last thought.
I think what you said was very eloquent about shining light on dark places.
Yeah.
The moment you shine light, they're no longer dark.
I like it. It helps. How many listeners will be like, I get it.
So spend my own money on Coke and don't use credit.
Yeah, Mace. And trade.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
No more Snapchat for you.
yeah.
Okay.
I would donate blood and buy
Dick
Coke.
pics
I'm
and
gonna,
Snapchat.
no, you don't. You haven't heard, or maybe you were here. I'm gonna start a VIP Snapchat, like a premium,
Dude.
where I charge to give people my, because that's a thing, right? You can charge, like, people will have premium Snapchats where you'll get their username and they'll add you so they can send pictures, because you can't send pictures to someone if they haven't added you.
Are there usernames on Snapchat?
Shane?
Yeah.
Get
So I'm gonna
get
make.
Millennial Mason.
I'm gonna.
I feel very old right now.
Get
So
Millennial
I'm gonna
Mason.
make a premium Snapchat. I'm gonna
'Kay.
charge people like $2 a month per person,
Okay.
and then I'll add them, and then they can see my pictures. And
Holy shit. You
Millennial Mason.
who knows?
At
Yeah,
Snapchat,
you
whatever.
heard it here first.
Maybe we'll do some Coke on Snapchat together.
Wow, little booty bump, huh?
Oh, that's great.
That might be a way to end the show.
Perfect way.
Okay.
Julia, thanks for returning.
Thanks,
This is
Jay.
awesome.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Until next
Guys,
time.
I don't want to do this, but I
Yeah. Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Okay.
Until next time.
They call me a listener, they say that I should start to explore everything. Oh, I may be a listener and maybe I should. There's joy in the message I bring. ShaneTrain, ShaneTrain. I am free and at ease, I record what I please. ShaneTrain, ShaneTrain, ShaneTrain.